Greetings, it's good to be with you, even if it is only virtually. Archaeolink was invited to join the MendTheGap project in order to facilitate the primary objective of their impact statement, which concerned the development and expansion of sustainable tourism through the reinterpretation of the scientific significance of the site of Vela Spila. We were to translate the research to raise awareness and appreciation of the site by the non-specialist, residents and visitors alike, and to develop specific strategies for this valuable resource in the implementation and augmentation of sustainable tourism within the community.
In order to achieve MendTheGap's primary objectives, our first goal in Vela Luca was to assist the community in furthering their knowledge and understanding of Vela Spila, a necessary pathway if they were to sustain and to benefit from this valuable resource. The transmission of knowledge is, at its most valuable, at least a two-way process. So rather than imparting knowledge and information, we attempted to work with the community members to stimulate their interest in and understanding of the archaeological research in Vela Spila. As you will see, we had two main areas of focus. One was young people in Vela Luca, for whom, in collaboration with their teachers, we created educational programs. We anticipated that this would have the secondary effect of reaching their parents. The other area of focus was visitors to the cave and museum, for whom, in collaboration with the archaeologists and the director, we wished to amplify the experience. On my first visit in March 2016, I met as many community members as possible. The director showed me Vela Spila as well as Hellenistic and Roman sites in the area. He explained much of the history of Korčula, especially that of recent times. The mayor offered his support, and the schools were keen to receive our new educational material, especially as we promised it would be relevant to their own site of Vela Spila. Several people told me that they knew the cave was important, but they didn't really know why. Our goal was to change that. One of the first initiatives we try to facilitate, if none exists, is the formation of a group of interested people, a Friends of Vela Spila Society, or a Community Heritage Committee. These groups give support to a museum or a site. They encourage a feeling of homogeneity, social well-being, and provide volunteers to implement plans and programs. Such groups have been highly successful in other locations in which we've worked. Indeed, the one in Elefsina succeeded in having the town selected as European Capital of Culture in 2021. So it was disappointing, even though I tried on successive visits, not to have been able to encourage the formation of such a group.
I visited the schools and talked to the heads and the teachers about how best we can integrate the archaeological research into the school curriculum. Following these discussions and discussions with our education specialist, we agreed to produce a project-based program for the elementary school and a number of comprehension exercises for the high school. The manager of the Tourist Information Office was very anxious to have both brochures to promote and to inform the public because he'd had nothing for the last 2 years. So before I left, I produced the texts and the photographs for these for review by the archaeologists and the director. In September 2016, 3 Archaeolink team members visited Vela Luca. Our purpose was to assess, in high season, what the potential was to stimulate further tourism and how we could improve the visitor experience in Vela Spila.
We also introduced the education resources we'd created for the teachers. The project, looking at prehistory through the lens of Vela Spila, was designed for the elementary school. It comprises full teacher's notes in Croatian, with children's worksheets, at the school's request, in English to support their use of the language. The pack includes an overview of prehistory in Croatia, focusing on Vela Spila, of course, and the archaeological background to the activities with the answers to the worksheets. Basically, we write the resource packs, so a teacher needs no prior knowledge to teach the subject. For the high school, we wrote a number of comprehension texts, also with answers and teacher's notes. They were all written with the archaeology or Vela Spila or prehistory as the themes. These proved so successful that the elementary school asked us to write some for them, with a focus on grammar.
All the educational material relates to Vela Spila, but of course, with very little adaptation, it could be used in other similar areas.
It was on this trip that we organised the first dig-in. These are weekend workshops where young people dig test pits, following archaeological methods. They were very popular, with some children attending the workshops each time we ran them. The workshop would start with games to familiarise the children with archaeological vocabulary and the names of the tools. They also played a game which taught them how to plot the location of the test pit. This involved plotting a box, moving it, and then replacing it in exactly its original location. It was easy in a paved area with straight lines, but much harder on grass. The youngsters were also shown how to record their dig and any finds correctly. Following the games, they were given tours of the archaeological laboratories, of the wet sieving area, and of the cave, so they could trace back and understand the whole process. Most groups dug to almost a metre in depth and had the satisfaction of finding bones, teeth, pottery, scraps of metal, and other treasures. At the end of the second day, they would give a brief presentation about their finds and receive certificates for their work.
I had a lot of experience. It was a great experience. I had fun, and that's.
Try it again.
Yeah, we want to do it again next year, actually September. Yeah,
As soon as possible. Over the week. Well, it's school. Over the week.
over
Yeah.
Our leader.
Yes, he was our.
He was the leader. He was the one drawing and
His drawings were excellent.
we matched together, but he was the one.
You can see that he's experienced.
Vela Spila has an amazing and complex story of life in the last ice age, of fired clay figurines from 17,000 years ago, of volcanic events, of sea level change of 12,000 years ago, of climate change, of 9,000-year-old burial practices, and of animal husbandry and fishing practices from 8,000 years ago. To amplify the visitor experience in the cave, we implemented a number of initiatives and created a feedback form to ensure we understood which areas needed attention. We produced material for a guide to show visitors to make the story of the cave more understandable, and I spent several hours assisting her to further her relational and interpretive skills. So successful did she become that she then trained as a regional guide, and in the next season left the cave to accompany only day trips. We also held our first general meeting with Vela Luka residents to initiate the idea of off-season leisure workshops, which, packaged with a visit to Vela Spila, could attract visitors from northern climes to travel to Vela Luka for more moderate weather. In the spring of 2017, we had a second such meeting, the results of which was the creation of 5 distinctly different leisure packages, which are advertised on one of the travel agents' websites.
2 Archaeolink team members were accompanied by 2 students for this trip, and they accomplished much, holding another dig-in, working on creating the info panels, visual aids for the cave, a photo exhibition of the dig-ins, liaising with teachers about the progress of the prehistory project, and collecting feedback on the comprehension exercises.
The director was enthusiastic about the installation of a virtual reality presentation, so I organised a proposal for one, and this is the sample. Velaluca's museum had been closed for over 2 years, and we'd been asked to assist in its reopening. Archaeolink's museologist arrived at the end of March to discuss and understand the director's vision for the museum, from which, at the beginning of April, he produced a proposal for an initial redisplay of the artefacts. Following the proposal, we arranged for a number of mounted photographs and labels to be produced, and 1 month later, an Archaeolink team member, accompanied by another student, travelled to Velaluca with the sole purpose of assisting the director to reopen the museum, which was achieved in July. During our spring visit in 2017, we realised that no replacement guide had been found for the cave's 2017 season. So we scripted and recorded an online audio tour, which visitors to the cave could download to their phones. Naturally, we also produced promotional material to notify visitors of the facility. The text was eventually translated into Croatian and German, and again available as a free download. The text of the audio tour has now had images added and can be downloaded as an information booklet. We also launched Velaluca Memories, stories provided by local people based on heritage values, making a place attractive to visitors. Velaluca Memories was a project carried out by pupils from the Velaluca High School, whereby they recorded oral histories provided by residents of varying ages, with an emphasis on senior citizens from Velaluca. This combination of values, stories, and landscapes creates a total experience for visitors, and they share this with others when they return home. In September 2017, we visited 5 schools to offer them our teaching resources. After several months, we got their feedback, and in spring 2018, we organised dig-in workshops for each of the schools, and some of the students from Velaluca came to assist. Shortly after that, our 3D specialist visited to take data from a number of artefacts so that reproductions could be made for display in the cave. Also during our visit in the spring 2018, we gave the director a set of activity sheets for families and children visiting the cave and the museum. He was clearly pleased with them, as he said he would also use them with the primary classes he taught. In April 2018, I wrote an article on Vela Spila which was published in Current World Archaeology, and, as a result, at least one UK travel agent that we know of is adding Vela Spila to its itinerary. At the end of April, after almost 2 years of planning, a group of school children from Velaluca visited the UK and were hosted by parents and children of Wisbech Grammar School. This was a positive experience for all parties involved and has resulted in several families from the UK travelling to Croatia for their holidays.
Numbers of visitors to the cave have more than doubled since we began our work. Of course, we can't take complete credit for this, but we know we have played our part in improving the visitor experience and in making Velaspiela's unique story better understood, locally, nationally, and internationally. Thank you.